Most of the first stage regional bird Pokemon aren't very exciting, and Pidove is definitely not any better. We're rating them all, and its one upside is that it's actually pretty good in battle. It's surprisingly bulky with 50s in HP and defense, as well as 55 attack, but only 36 special attack. Its super luck ability is also really great compared to most of the other birds, but its move pool is where this line's biggest flaw lies. For Pidove, at least, it's not as big of a deal. Gust and Air Cutter are fine for the early game, but it would have been so much better off with Wing Attack or even just Peck. Roost is pretty nice though, it's pretty decent early on, 3.5 stars in battle prowess. I do need to correct a mistake though. Thanks to these comments I learned that Munna is not available as early in Galar. It's locked behind the 3rd gym, which actually brings its availability down to 3 stars, and Musharna's down to 3.5. But Munna's great early game moves in Gen 8 were part of the reason for its high battle prowess. Without that, I think bringing it down to 4 stars is fair. And so their updated scores are 3.75 and 4 stars respectively. These next 2 categories though are very telling to the fact that this is a regional bird Pokemon. Availability is of course going to be 5 stars as it's available on the first routes in Unova, their sequels, and Galar. But for concept, it's a pigeon, or a mourning dove, or maybe a mix of the two. 2 stars thanks to the normal animals being normal types claws. And design, it's not much better. It has the cartoony big eyes, but that's the only thing distinguishing Pidove from an actual bird. There is genuinely just nothing interesting or even worth talking about for this Pokemon. It doesn't look bad or offensive or anything, just extremely boring. 2 stars. Landing Pidove the final score of 3.125 stars overall, and on this already crowded branch in the bottom 5. I can't stand Pidove or UNFEZANT, but Tranquill is unironically a pretty good middle stage. We're rating them all, and it sadly just gets royally screwed over in battle. It's pretty fast, pretty physically bulky, and even hits just about as hard as Herdier, but its special attack is 50, which normally wouldn't be a problem, but this line's kryptonite is the fact that they don't learn a physical flying move at all by level up in Gen 5. Sure, Air Cutter paired with Super Luck is pretty cool, and you could give it the Aerial Ace TM if you got it before beating the 6th gym. Return and Roost carry heavily here. It got done so dirty. Thankfully, you only have to use it for 11 levels, 3 stars. But availability is of course going to stay Pidove's 5 stars, and conceptually it's inspired by a mix of a few different birds, sure, but it's still just a normal bird, 2 stars. However, as I hinted at in the intro, I actually kind of like its design. The darker plumage on its head, wings, and tail help give it some pop, especially with the start of the pink eyeshadow look, which thankfully gives it something, unlike Pidove. It looks pretty good and is a nice bridge to UNFEZANT, but it's still not anything special at all, 3 stars. So that will give Tranquill the final score of 3.25 stars overall and a spot alongside Oshawott on the bottom 5. UNFEZANT, whatever, is pretty universally regarded as one of, if not the worst regional bird Pokemon. We're rating them all, and let's see if that's fair. In battle, I don't think it is, honestly. Now, obviously, this is no Staraptor or Guts Facade Swellow, but it's 115 attack, 93 speed, and 80s in HP and defense, and its awesome super luck ability make for a pretty darn good Pokemon that you get so early and easily. This line's biggest weakness is its level up move pool, not learning a single flying type move until level 66 in Gen 5. But by the time you get UNFEZANT, you get access to Aerial Ace or Fly, so pair that with Return, Roost, U-Turn, and you have a pretty solid member of your team. Obviously, it's not going to carry your run or anything, but it's definitely respectable, 4 stars. Availability is the strong suit of these birds and is obviously going to stay 5 stars, as Pidove is available basically instantly in Unova and Galar. But concept is the Achilles heel for these regional birds. Pidove and Tranquill were just actual literal birds with nothing special to them, but UNFEZANT at least adds the very rarely impactful sexual dimorphism, which is pretty cool, especially for birds who normally showcase that in males more as well. It's a little better, 2.5 stars. But design is where the majority of the hate for this Pokemon comes from, and I get it. I understand what they were going for with the dimorphism, having the male look like it's like peacocking and the female being much more bland and under the radar. It makes sense, but female UNFEZANT is one of the most boring looking Pokemon in the entire series. It barely even looks like a Pokemon. Now the male isn't a very good looking Pokemon either, but at least it's colorful, and the big pink plumage on its head make it very unique among bird Pokemon. Pidgeotto is unironically one of my favorite Pokemon ever. They're so different that I'm going to give them separate design scores. I'm sorry, but female UNFEZANT doesn't deserve anything above a 1. It's just awful. But the male, I'd say, is an okay 2.5 stars, which will land male UNFEZANT a decent 3.5 stars overall, but the female lands in the bottom 5 with a 3.125.